on this Marco footrest. This is a Marco combo, and this footrest is, we're going to replace it. We've got another footrest that's metal, so we're going to take this one completely off. But if you were just adjusting the tension on this, the tension screw is underneath on the chair part. But the set screws that hold the shaft in, there's two up top, and then the set screws underneath are adjusting the tension of your brake, of your brake. You don't want it to fall down by itself. You want it to have some tension so it's staying up in the air when you move it up. So to remove that, you're going to have to loosen your set screws on top and release your tension brake set screws underneath. You don't have to take these off. You don't have to take them off, but you have to loosen it enough so you can push your shaft in to be able to pull the footrest out. So we've already loosened these set screws up top with a 3mm Allen, and we released the tension on your brake set screw with this 2.5 Allen wrench underneath. And so we should be able to knock this pin in enough past the spacer. There's a spacer on each side between this side rail and the chair. And when you're putting it all back in, you've got to push your shaft back in while you have your spacer in there as you're knocking it in, and it's pretty tight, so you have to maneuver it. Okay, we've loosened that already on both sides, so I'm going to tap it with something to push that shaft in, and do the same on the other side. Once you've pushed the shafts in enough to clear the chair frame, you can pull your footrest out, and you'll see the spacers here. So when you're putting it back in, you can just leave a little space and put your spacer back in, just enough. Keep it flush both sides, so when you're putting it back in, you can keep that spacer in place because you have your shaft out a little bit. So that's that. And here's your shaft. If you're cleaning this, don't put any grease on it because it's going to be locked into this side. So don't put any grease because that will work against your tension underneath. So if you clean that pin off, don't put any lubricant on it. In here it's got a little nylon brake, just like the spacers is made out of nylon, and it has a little brake underneath the set screw that's pushing up against this shaft, and that's what gives it its tension. So if you have any lubricant on there, it's going to slide no matter how tight you get it. So don't put anything on that shaft. Now what we're going to be doing is putting this one on. It doesn't have a rubber mat on it, and we're going to be taking the pins out, installing them, and putting our spacer in, and then putting it back into place. Now there are some footrests that don't have the set screw up here. on top to lock in the shaft. It's underneath. So you would be locking the shaft in after you've gotten it through all the way to the other side, and you would be locking it in under here. So that's a new style, not up here. If you want to pull your shafts out and wipe them off with a rag, you don't have to use cleaner. It's okay if you leave a little bit of a little film of lubricant on there if they're already on there. Just wipe them off really good. Don't clean them with any fuel cleaner because you don't need them that clean. And just dry fit everything. Make sure it's going in your chair frame easily so that when you're pushing it back in, it's going to go back in. And make sure you get the right side. The set screw of the chin rest up here is going to screw against here. See how it's indented? So it can mess this shaft up a little bit because it's countersunk. So you can see where this one was originally. But this one, because it's got a nylon little brake block in there, it's not going to be making any marks on your shaft. Now, if that little nylon brake is missing, then you're just going to be tightening your screw right against the metal, and you don't want to do that. So clean your shafts real good. Clean inside here. Just wipe them out. Wipe them out. Don't use any solvent. And make sure everything's moving freely. Can go in and out easily, both on the footrest and on your chair. And when they're moving freely, go ahead and leave them out a little bit and put your spacers on. Clean your spacers. Put them on both sides, and then leave it flush, both edges, while you're putting it in place. And then once you have it in place, you can kind of tap it back in on the back side of your pen. Now sometimes so it's best that if you've dry fitted both inside the chair and in your footrests, then it's going to move easier going in and out. But if you don't do that, then you're going to have to push it in one side, hold it up, and try to knock the other side in. So it's better just to go ahead and dry fit, make sure everything's going in easily. I just wanted to show you a close-up of the little nylon brake in there. You can see it. It's white, and that's what's putting tension on your shaft. But it's in there. It shouldn't come out. It should stay in there. And of course your set screw is underneath it, pushing your little brake against the shaft, giving you your tension. You might find it easier if you push your footrest up into position, and then you can push your shafts in by looking on the outside to see where it lines up, and then because you've dry fitted your pins, then they should be able to just push in with your finger once you've lined them up on both sides. So you could try to install it in the down position, but it might be a little harder, whichever way you want to choose. But this way, if you've dry fitted everything, it's moving, then once you line everything up, you can just look on the outside and line it up and push your pins in, push your shafts in. And then you want to get them flush to the outside of your chair, and then lock it in. If you have your calf pad on, then you're going to have to tighten your screws with it in the up position. And once you have those set screws on top locked in here and the depth adjusted correctly, then it's time to adjust your tension underneath. You could just snug your set screws for the tension. Just give them a good snug and then check it. It should stay up by itself and move down with a little bit of tension coming down and stay in place. That's what you want. You can make it a little tighter, and because it's eventually going to get a little looser. Now you can replace this rubber strip plate. You would have to take off this. They call this a corner, and it's straight, and it's got a little gap in here, so it can cover about two threads of your material. So you would have to measure the width and then push it down and measure so that it would cut off even here. It's kind of hard to do it because it's hard to bend and hold it in place. You have to use the appropriate glue for your rubber strip and measure, and you could find some of this rubber matting places that wherever you can get it, and your corner is going to go on. Maybe the first one or two ribs. So you would keep that in mind when you're wondering where to cut it. It's a little bit of work to get the length perfect, and you might not. So go ahead and start your end underneath your angle and then fold it up. And if it's a little short up here, then it's okay. It's better to be short here than short under here. But you can make your own choice. Oh yeah, and the screws to take off your angle, you've got to take those off. And sometimes they're very hard to get out. And you may have to use a punch to keep punching the screw around to start loosening it. And if you wanted to see the diagram, here's your set screws. Here's your spacers. Here's the brake block, the set screw underneath the brake block. Here's your shaft. Here's the side plates and your mat, and then here's the corner. And those screws underneath here are 3 by 5, 3 millimeter by 5, if you needed to replace those screws. And here's the parts.